Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good afternoon. It is Thursday. It is time for another video. In this episode of the Music Den, I'm going to be doing another installment of Live Album Spotlight. Now, the band I'm going to be talking about is Supertramp, and the album is Live in Paris, 1979. This album has been released over the years in various formats. The original title for the album was Paris, released as a double vinyl album and double cassette, I believe, on A&M Records. Released on September 26th, 1980. The material for this album was recorded during Supertramp's European tour for Breakfast in America. Massive album for the band. Just a bit about Supertramp in case you didn't know. They were formed in the late 60s, released their debut self-titled album on A&M in 1970, followed up by a sophomore release called Indelibly Stamped. Sorry, I don't know if I have said that properly. In 1971, the famous cover with the woman with the boobs and the tattoos. Both albums did not sell well. And as a result, the band underwent a major overhaul, leaving the only two original members, Rick Davies and Roger Hodgson, recruiting on drums, Bob C. Benberg, on bass, Doogie Thompson, and on saxophone and various woodwind instruments and keyboards, John Helliwell. Releasing their third release, Breakfast in America, Crime of the Century in 1974, to massive acclaim, critical acclaim, and also commercial acclaim. They went on to release pretty much an album every other year during the 70s. The massive commercial success that they did have with Breakfast in America. They went on this tour for the album. The story goes was that the engineer and producer that was set to put the live album together would make up white label tapes of performances that they did. And they toured North America, they toured Canada, but they didn't like the performances that they were hearing. The only performances that they liked hearing were the performances that they did in Paris. These shows in Paris took place at the Pavillon de Paris from November 29th to December 2nd, 1979. The Pavillon de Paris is, and if I'm saying it wrong, Pavillon de Paris, I'm sorry. It's a venue that is no longer in existence. It's a venue that a shitload of artists played. You're talking Dire Straits, Queen, Styx, Genesis, just to name a few. Again, it is no longer in existence. As I said, the recordings took over 4 days of the performances from the 29th of November to the 2nd of December. However, the bulk of the performances were recorded on December 1st. Okay. Due to either being restrictions due to vinyl, because on vinyl you can only have, I believe, maximum up to 22 minutes of playtime. A good number of tracks were omitted either for lack of space on the album, or they just were not good in terms of the performances. Those songs were Give a Little Bit, Goodbye Stranger, Downstream, Even in the Quietest Moments, Child of Vision, and Another Man's Woman. This album, Live in Paris 1979, was released in 2002, again in 2012. However, Roger Hodgson was not pleased with the performance, not with the performances, but he was not pleased with the fact that he was not consulted by the other band members as to the music that was going to be put on, or the he also took uh, umbrage with the fact that the songwriting credits were not correct. So a re-released version in 2015 came out, which I have. It is a double CD and either DVD or Blu-ray, whichever one you want uh, to have. The double CD is the entire performance as it was meant to be heard. 11 tracks per disc, 22 songs in all, not discounting the introduction in French that happened at the beginning of the show. Um, and it has been restored to its former glory. And I got to tell you, listening to it, I have this on vinyl, the original Paris release. This beats it hands down. I never understood myself how you can release an album, a live album, and either make it a single disc, which to me, you all know I don't like single disc live albums. I don't think that they serve any purpose whatsoever. It's like releasing a trailer to a movie and saying, okay, that's it. That's all you get. That's the movie. They either release, as I was saying, a single live album, or when they release it as a double disc, double album, you do not get the entire performance. I would like to hear the performance, beginning, middle, and the ending, right? As it was meant to be heard. If it turns out to be a triple disc, or so be it, like Paul McCartney did with Wings. But I digress. Sound wise, this has to be, if not the best, one of the best sound recordings for a live concert I've heard in my life. Now, out there, if you've been watching the channel, you know how much I love Queen. This album beats Live Killers by a mile. Okay. Just a bit more about the album. It was produced by Peter Henderson and Russell Pope. Yeah, it is a fantastic album. Like I said, 11 tracks per disc. It starts off with School. And I got to say, too, a bulk of the material for this album has the tracks from Crime of the Century. The only track that was missing from the set list was If Everyone Was Listening, which is my favorite track from Crime of the Century. I mean, you had to, I guess, struggle on it somewhere, but it starts off with School, and all these songs are done in their entirety. There's no cutting, no short little verses and then segue into a medley, nothing. Every song is done in their entirety. Again, starts off with School, fantastic, really dramatic, really theatrical, bombastic. They don't really stretch out in terms of doing a bit of a musical improv on the tracks. They basically stick to the structure of the track. No extended guitar solos here and there, but they do have fun. Again, School comes in and it is atmospheric. It is haunting. It's breathtaking. And then it goes into Ain't Nobody But Me. I believe on the original release of Paris, it went into Logical Song. So you have everything restored back to its original glory, as I said. Ain't Nobody But Me, this version of this track is just a fun, rollicking version. And you do have the combination of Roger Hodgson and Rick Davies trading vocal duties on the tracks. What I like about when you watch the video, I should say two, is each member of the band is basically running around the stage using various instruments. You'll see Doogie Thompson at the beginning of school on the synthesizer behind everybody in the shadows, right? Playing his part. And then he'll jump on the bass. He's got the bass strapped to him, but then he'll start playing the bass, and then you'll see John Helliwell go from clarinet to saxophone to keyboards to whatever needs to be used, right? So there's a lot of swapping of instrumentation going on. It's fantastic. The only person that is really basically stationary is Bob C. Benberg, because he's on drums, right? So after Ain't Nobody But Me, fantastic rollicking version of the Logical song. Beautiful, beautiful. At that point, it had to be said at this point, Breakfast in America was considered to be their commercial peak. Whereas, in my opinion, and as I found out watching a documentary, it was Bob C. Benberg's opinion that they hit their artistic peak with Crime of the Century, and they hit their commercial peak with Breakfast in America. After Logical Song comes Goodbye Stranger, and it's just, again, a beautiful rendition of it. Fantastic, really strong. The drums are really prominent. They're really heavy. They're really rich and really crystal clear sonically. It's amazing. It sounds amazing. Yes, there have been overdubs done on the album. There were some vocal overdubs done, and John Helliwell's organ was overdubbed in the studio because you couldn't really hear it when they were playing live. After Goodbye Stranger comes Breakfast in America. Then you go back to Crime of the Century for Bloody Well Right. And again, it's just amazing. The interplay between Roger Hodgson and Rick Davies and basically the rest of the band is on point, phenomenal. Okay, just breathtaking. Okay, not a bad note is hit, nothing is missed. After Bloody Well Right comes Hide in Your Shell, which again, beautiful track from side one of Crime of the Century, talking about having self-doubt about your life and about what you're able to do, and basically wanting to hide from the rest of the world. From Now On is after that. Again, great track. Child of Vision is next. This is one of the tracks that was added back in from the original release. A beautiful version of Even in the Quietest Moments comes next. Just great, track 10. And then disc one ends with the B-side to Lady, called You Started Singing When I Held You in My Arm. You started laughing. My notes. You started laughing when I hold you in my arms. And this is the B-side to Lady. This is the only B-side that was put on the album. CD2 starts with a soapbox opera. Fantastic. Then Asylum is next. Again, lush, almost orchestrated, beautiful track. Next up is Downstream from Even in the Quietest Moments. And then you have Give a Little Bit, just a good rollicking version of this, really fun, really engaging with the audience. You hear the audience clapping along with the band, just get them into it. And it's, I gotta say, when you hear it on the album, it's a very give and take feel that goes on with this track. Next up is Dreamer, which was released as a live single from the album. back in 1980. I believe it reached the top 20 when it was released. Amazing version of this track, just beautiful. Rudy is next. Just the drama and the tension that is created with this track. Just and the give and take, the call and response between Rick Davies and Roger Hodgson. It's just amazing. Coming up after Rudy, track 7 is Take the Long Way Home. I've always loved that song. And it's not edited, it's done in its entirety. Because if you remember, Long Way Home is done as it's a slow build, right? On the beginning of the track, and it comes in very slow. They do it perfectly. Another Man's Woman is next. Fantastic track, right? Up next, sorry about the camera moving. Up next is the mammoth, epic, sprawling Fool's Overture. Okay. Bloody hell. Like it's starts off on the piano. Roger Hodgson starts off on the piano. Then the wind effect comes in. And then there's a video screen behind, excuse my hands, behind the stage, the drum kit of the riser, and images of Big Ben clock in London come up, and you hear Winston Churchill's speech, and it's all about drama. It's all about building tension and building up to the climax, right? And then you see on the video, you see Roger Hodgson at the keyboard, and he plays the first notes of the, I guess you call it the, sounds like a synth-based sound, but it's not. And it just builds and builds and builds, and it's just epic. It's textured, it's lush, and it is beautiful, right? The drums kick in. It's got to be heard. I mean, and again, they don't skip over anything. It's all done in its entirety. And it's a showstopper. It ends with fantastic bombast, and with the drums and the keyboards and the horns. What I like about this, I've talked about on the channel a lot about light and shade, right? And how I've used light and shade in terms of the type of songs that you hear. Like light for me would be the heavier songs, right? And shade would be more of the more of the ballads, more of the more quiet ones. There's a lot of use of light and shade in Fool's Overture. A lot of dramatic tension, a lot of build up, and sustaining suspense, holding suspense. This has a lot of that in a lot of light and shade. Fantastic. Then it's a version of the two of us with Roger Hodgson on acoustic guitar, and then the other members of the band join him around the microphone just to sing their backup vocals in unison. Fantastic. You can tell they're having fun. They're having a lot of fun doing this. And then the show ends with the epic. I know I've used that a lot, but it's the only way I can describe this track. The epic Crime of the Century. Okay. And it's done in its entirety again. And it's beautiful, it's majestic, it's open, it's very spatial, textured, and a lot of tension and drama used on this track. When I hear this track, the studio version, I almost end up tearing up. I do, because it's very telling about the fact that the people in power, whether it be government or usually government, people in government really don't know what the hell they're doing in terms of claiming what to do, what to know, claiming what is best for the people. Like they know what's best for the people that they represent or they govern. And really, they have no idea what the story is or what the score is for life, which is my take on this song. It is beautiful. It is emotional. The only unfortunate thing is just when the piano starts from the midsection to the outro on the video, there's no video for it. The concert fades out and you just get like pictures, stills, right? Because that part of the concert was not filmed, which I don't know why. The film itself is done on 16 millimeter film. And it is beautiful. I watched the DVD, but I've also rewatched it on YouTube the other night, preparing for this. And it is simply amazing, amazing. You can tell that during the show that the members of Supertramp are having fun during the show. It's amazing. It's fantastic, And the reason why they did this album, according to Roger Hodgson, was they were under extreme pressure from A&M to come up with a follow-up album to Breakfast in America. Breakfast in America. I believe there were 4 singles from the album. Massive hit, million seller, over a million seller. They needed, A&M wanted a follow-up. So the album Paris, would become Live in Paris, was used as a stopgap for them to be able to get off the road, relax, and do an album that they were comfortable with. And that meant they weren't going to be able to do an album until a 1981 release. So this was sort of used as a bridge to keep the fans interested and the record company appeased, and then they'll come out with a new album. Unfortunately, this would be I think the only commercially released live album up to that point with Roger Hodgson. He would end up leaving the band in 1983 after the famous Last Words tour. And people were surprised when he did leave. But according to Roger Hodgson, it was not a surprise. It was coming. Because according to Roger Hodgson, he and Rick Davies had been writing separately since 1974, right? And Roger Hodgson wanted to do more of a soft rock, pop kind of format. And Rick Davies wanted to do more of the, I guess you call it, heavier, theatrical, dramatic, progressive type of music. And having to meld both of the styles together was becoming more and more difficult. So it was agreed that when they went in to record Famous Last Words, that would be the last album that they would record in that configuration. Supertramp went on until about 2002, recording and releasing albums. But I do not believe in North America that they achieved the same success as they did within that 5-man configuration, from the 70s. So, but to listen to this album, it is amazing. It is bloody fantastic. And again, as much of a fan as I am of Queen, and I will be a fan of Queen until the day I die, this album, Live in Paris 1979, trumps Queen Live Killers for me. Sonically, it is superior to what you hear on Live Killers, whether it has to do with the technology or the recording facilities or the equipment they had at the time, like whatever, the venues that they were booked into, I have no idea. But please check out Supertramp Live in Paris 1979. If you have, please let me know down below, down there, what you think of the album. Do you like it? Do you not like Supertramp? Do you like the configuration with Hodgson in the band? or not. Let me know what you think, and put your comments in the space provided below. That's it for this episode. I will be doing an episode with uh, Ryan Gavalier on Sunday. We're going to be taping an album discussion episode on Stevie Nicks' Belladonna, her first solo album. We're going to have a really good album discussion about that. I will be appearing tonight, being Thursday. Sorry, I have my day screwed up. Thursday on Grant's Rock Warehouse. Um, please check that out. I have a listing. I have the video in my video playlist, so please check that out. Please go into my playlist and check that out. And please check out Grant's Rock Warehouse for some fantastic video content. He does a really good job. The show that we're doing is on the Tea Party's fourth release Triptych. We're having a two-person panel discussion about Triptych from 1999. The show is airing 7 p.m. Mountain Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please check that out. It'll be on my my YouTube page. So yeah, that's it for now. Please look after yourselves and one another. Please click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content I've got coming up. And I will see you soon with another new video. Bye for now.